This episode brought to you by
Audible. Nobody else said Audible. I like trying to match your nonsense saying of it.
audibletrial.com/horrorvirgin for 30 days free in a book to get you started. For your book recommendation, Jen.
It's me. Hey guys, today I am recommending Camp Red Moon, which is an Audible original by R.L. Stein.
Really?
Sounds like it's about camp, and it's read by R.L. Stein, and I love him.
So guys, check out Camp Bloody Face by R.L. Stein on Audible. What's it called?
Camp Red Moon, and we just got dropped by Audible.
Camp Red Moon by R.L. Stein, read by R.L. Stein. This episode also brought to you by
Nick B.
Okay, I have a
Hey,
Nick
B.
B fun fact.
Uh-oh.
Really?
Well, you sent it to me.
That's true.
Actually, in all fairness, Nick B posted it to the Facebook
He
group.
did.
He made it so easy for us.
If you would do that every week. Nick B fun fact, he hates being pampered. He can't stand massages or getting his hair cut.
What?
Really?
I don't like massages.
They're amazing.
So I
Really
get
not?
that.
Amazing.
No, I don't have a problem with people touching me. I just don't like. I don't know. Afterwards, I feel like weird. I
Dirty?
don't enjoy that after feeling.
Yeah, I do.
You feel used.
They were
No.
You walk or shave
Like
your
literally,
car.
like physically, like my body feels like it's all discombobulated.
Oh, yeah?
so.
Nick B, who hurt you?
Maybe British massages are just really mean.
maybe they're different. Yeah.
Yeah.
This episode also brought to you by
Rebecca. Hey, Rebecca.
So, Mikey, do you have a Rebecca pickup line?
Hey, Rebecca.
Hey, Mikey.
Do you like the song Jingle Bells?
Oh, no.
Because you look like you go all the way.
That's not going to work.
Oh, my God. None of them work, Jen. Like, I've never heard a pickup line that was like, ooh, that might work.
No, it's true.
And this one is holding to that
Yeah.
truth.
Don't say that to anyone. And it's a beloved song.
And guys, if you want to go all the way, you might want some Disney ears. So go to her Etsy store at Straight On Tell Disney.
Oh, does she have a Disney Etsy store?
She does.
You'll have
yeah.
to definitely tell me, hook me up with that. I'll let my wife know.
Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
it's Straight On Tell Disney.
It
But I'll
is.
send you the link. It's pretty good, actually.
Okay,
She
cool.
does a lot of really cool Disney ears.
Yeah.
This episode also brought to you by Matthew.
Matthew.
This is the Matthew that you're used to hearing about because a new Matthew may or may have not entered the game.
I guess you'll have to wait
recently.
to find out.
Yeah.
This is the Matthew that hates his brother.
That's very Mary Poppins-esque. Yeah.
Yeah, Matthew.
Matthew. Okay, so Matthew wrote in and he told me a story about the time he saved his brother.
Oh, yeah?
Really?
Yeah, they were snow ice sledding.
Snow ice sledding.
Snow ice sledding.
They were
sometimes,
sledding on
it's-
ice?
It's
Yeah.
iced over and then snow hits it. That makes sense.
Or
I'll buy
sometimes you
that.
go from snow to ice.
So his brother was ice sledding down but fell through the ice into the water.
no.
No.
And then
Daniel, no.
Matthew had to go down there and get him, and lost hearing in one of his ears.
Oh,
I
no.
knew that was going to happen. What movie is that?
It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
It's a
yeah,
wonderful Matthew.
Yeah.
It's a Wonderful Matthew.
Aw. Well, Matthew, thanks for
Saving your brother.
saving your brother.
And teaching us all a valuable lesson about
Yeah.
the meaning of Christmas.
Yeah, don't
and banks.
Just keep lassoing that moon, Matthew.
Oh.
This episode also brought to you by Cody Roy.
Cody Roy is a time cop.
That has been
That's
established.
true.
That is established.
Like Van Damme?
But he's
Yeah.
also a woodworker.
Yes, he is.
So last week he went back to the Nativity.
He did. He had to
One up
one-up
Frank and
frankincense
Merlin.
and myrrh.
That's right.
Frank and
but when
Merlin.
he was back there, he noticed that Jesus was just laying in hay.
Just by himself on
So
hay.
he went
said-
further back.
What?
And he built the manger.
What?
Wow.
He built a manger?
He said, hey, that baby's on some hay.
He said,
That joke kills in nativity times.
Jesus.
Are we all going to hell now?
Yes.
What? Really?
Yeah.
I mean, for other things. Absolutely.
There's no backstory in the Bible for the manger.
I want a gritty manger time cop reboot for sure. That sounds
somebody get Chris
amazing.
Nolan on the phone.
All right.
All right, I'm out.
Thank you so much for building the manger. This episode also brought to you by
Red.
Red.
Hey, Red.
Do you know a lot of people are scared of public speaking?
Yeah.
Did know that.
Red Map is, not actually scared of public speaking, but what he is scared of is nudity. So he went to public speak and
That took a left turn like hard.
he pictured the audience
Yeah, it
naked.
did.
Right.
Then
and then he
got
was more
scared.
scared.
Yes!
Oh, I
You know
get
what?
it.
You should picture them wearing cutoffs.
Never nudes?
Never nudes, yeah.
That makes sense.
I'm
This episode also brought to you by Ryan.
Ryan.
And Ryan's the one who wants Jen to be mean to him.
Well,
Focus in on me, Jen.
I know. Ryan, let me tell you the truth about Ryan, guys. Ryan saves all of his shits for podcast days and comes over and just tears up my bathroom.
What?
And I have had enough of that shit.
Literal shit.
I thought maybe the sub lettuce wrap was
Ryan
gonna help.
probably poops every day, not just on podcast days.
Look, Ryan, lock it up.
There's no evidence
That's true.
because Ryan messes up the toilet.
Lots of people
Quad Loft.
poop after they eat. It's a gastrointestinal reflex, Ryan.
Why would you do that, Ryan?
Yeah.
In all fairness, I pooped here today too.
I did not.
Oh, thank you. My kids brushed their teeth in that bathroom.
Well, I had to clean it with something. This episode also brought to you by Matthew.
Matthew
He's a new guy.
New
R.
player entering the game.
Did you say like he's a pirate?
Maybe he is a pirate.
That'd be R.
Yeah,
Matthew.
right? So Matthew is a new.
He is a new.
Yeah, so we don't quite know what to say for him yet.
We don't. So we're just going to say a bunch of R words and pirate nonsense.
Yeah, just write in and tell us what you want.
I did reach out to him on Patreon and asked him, like, because you get shirts and stickers and mugs.
Were you
Yeah.
nice about it?
Yeah. And I asked him, like, what he wanted for all that stuff. And then I said, what do you want for your shout out? And he responded to the shirt thing, but not anything else. So Matthew R, reach out to us and let us know what you want, and we will get it done for you. I think the theme music is hanging by a rope right in front of the barn door.
I think we should just play the first 6 minutes of the theme music from the last episode to start us off. So.
I hear the theme music's pregnant, but we're never going to know for sure. We're never going to talk about it again.
Welcome to the Horror Virgin, everybody. I'm Jen.
I'm Mikey.
And I'm your horror virgin, Todd, which means I don't like scary movies. And normally I would go into explaining what movie we watched today, but we have a very special guest.
We do. Yeah, returning guest.
Yes.
Jonathan Watkins from CinemaSins.
What's
Mikey, get your hands off
And
him.
Mikey's touching my leg.
We've been on here enough.
Team Couch back at
This
it
is like
again.
our 4th date.
I guess so.
2 more and you come on full time.
I got to stop it.
And the reason you're on is because you do all of the Friday the 13th.
Apparently,
right.
yeah.
And it is Friday the 13th.
It
and we are
is.
doing the next in our installment of the 13th.
That's right. It's a very special Horror Virgin episode.
Yes.
It is Friday the 13th.
Part
And
3.
that's right.
Yeah. So this movie came out in 1982. Have you guys seen it
Yes.
before?
Yes.
I had. Yeah, I
So
watched it a
Jonathan
while
has,
ago.
Jen, you have. Mikey, have you seen it before?
No.
Have you not?
I don't know. They all run the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
Jason runs around, kills people, and it's like a vaguely wooded area.
Yeah, there's a formula for
Yeah,
sure.
I
Yeah,
got it.
I
This
got
was
part of what I like about
this
it.
was my first Friday the 13th movie to see.
What?
Was it
Yeah.
really?
Oh my
You watched
God.
more?
I saw. Yeah, I know, that's crazy. Well, I was really young. No, I saw it when it premiered on cable, like HBO or whatever. Like
Okay.
that was a big deal back in the day.
Oh,
so
yeah.
This probably would have been like summer of '83. I was like 7.
Oh, wow.
And I can even remember like my grandparents, aunt, and uncle came over to the house, and we all sat down
to
and-
watch this?
Yeah.
What? Did you watch
Oh
it in
my
3D?
God.
No, it was on It was on HBO or whatever.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was a thing back in the day, man. You get together, watch the HBO premieres. So this was my first Friday the 13th.
So
movie.
when you
Wow.
watched it back then, did you like it?
I don't remember. Probably not. I mean, as much as you're going to like something when you're 7.
Right.
And
Yeah.
having to watch nudity in front of your grandparents?
Yeah, that would have been weird. Thankfully, I don't recall that.
There was
Yeah.
a lot of nudity.
No. It's really just
No.
that pregnant chick. Jen, did you like it?
Yeah, it was okay. I remember watching, like, I would record it secretly because my parents wouldn't let me watch that stuff. And I watched this one and I was like,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always great looking back when you watch. See, you're probably lucky you did not watch this stuff with your parents, because looking back, you're just like, holy crap, I can't believe.
I know.
Yeah.
Like they sat down and watched that with me.
That's my whole podcast.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's like Mikey and his mom growing up. You guys watched
Right.
insane stuff. I'm surprised you don't watch this.
All she does, well, we probably did. Okay, so I think I have seen it. And because I knew this is the one where he gets his hockey mask.
Yeah,
I
you
remember
did.
watching that scene.
Okay.
But I remembered nothing else about it.
Can I tell a really quick story about this movie, though? I
Yeah.
do one thing I remember about that viewing experience. This was when music videos were getting really huge.
Right.
So, like, in between showing movies, they would sometimes show a music video. So, right after this ended, they showed Elton John's I'm Still Standing video.
Oh, my
But
God.
from a kid's perspective, I thought it was the end of the movie. I didn't watch this movie for the longest time after that. So I remember telling friends, like, yeah, no, totally. Like, Elton John's in Friday the 13th Part 3, and he sings I'm Still Standing, to the point where I finally talked a couple friends into watching it like a couple years
my
later.
God.
And I was very embarrassed to find out.
I'm still
Yeah.
killing after all this time.
But I will never forget that, because
That's my experience of Living on a Prayer and
Yeah,
Fright Night.
nice.
Yeah, I thought that was the end credit song.
Oh my god.
Like, they are living on a prayer.
Oh, they were just trying to, get audiences happy. Like, here's some Elton John for you at the end of the
Still
movie.
standing sort of works for
I
it.
mean, yeah, they're telling them it's not the end of the franchise.
Oh my
It's
God.
a spoiler for the sequels.
All right. So having watched it today, how do you guys feel about this movie?
Funny, but trash.
Yeah, it is. I honestly, I normally hate all the movies because I'm scared of movies. This was fun. I
It was
enjoyed
fun,
watching
yeah.
it with you
It's
guys.
fun. Yeah, it's a fun movie to watch with a bunch of people.
I wouldn't say it's like a great cinematic masterpiece.
and it's probably not as good as the other two before it.
Right,
Yeah.
I would agree with that. It's not as good, but I
it-
think it's more fun than the other two.
But it's also not the worst of the series by anywhere close. To
no,
being
I
the
mean,
worst.
honestly,
Yeah.
I really do feel like if they had just given him a Baby Ruth, he would have been a lot more agreeable.
He did look like Sloth.
A lot. Jen, did you like it watching it today?
I did. Yeah, I actually liked it watching it better than I liked the second one.
Really?
Yeah, because the second one, it's silly, but I still feel like they're trying to make it scary. And this one was just bonkers.
The second one is the one where you were sexually attracted to the redhead with the busted face.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Did you see those abs?
I did see those abs. Did you not see his face?
No, I
So
didn't
in
get,
this
I
one,
didn't get that high.
In this one, you were attracted to Shelley
Now,
or Rick.
he's got a great personality. Now, Rick does look a lot like someone that I may have gone out with a couple of times in college.
Hang on one second. Did you just say Shelley has a great personality?
Shelley is the fucking worst.
I'm 100% sure that Shelley's last name is Franklin.
I think, yeah.
And he is
Shelley
related to
Franklin.
Franklin. Yeah.
I do think Shelley is the first incel, too.
I think he is an incel. Yeah.
Franklin may have the title.
But Shelley's he's a piece of shit. Like
Yeah.
people, I've heard people defend him and say like, no, you're supposed to feel bad for him and stuff. Like, no, he's a dick. Like
Yeah.
he causes all the problems he has with women.
I agree completely.
Yeah.
Yeah. He is the
We all do.
manifestation of his own destiny.
Right.
He could shave that perm and be like a normal person.
He could.
And he's really not that bad looking, you know?
well,
He's not great looking.
He's no Rick. Let's say that.
no, he's not wearing a sweater around his neck.
No, he's not. Yeah, a lot of the problem is him just trying so hard to get everybody to like
But
him.
he's not trying in a way to make people like him because he's funny or because
Right.
he's nice. He's not trying too hard in those areas. He's trying too hard to scare people, which is not
Right.
something that makes me like people.
Crasher rule number 77, Todd. Positive attention, not negative attention.
Thank you.
He's
Yeah.
he's like a toxic fanboy these days. I mean, that's
Yeah.
such a-
He's
like,
an incel.
She won't have sex with me.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Seriously, what
Here's
do
my
you
box of secrets that I'm going to smell weirdly in front of you.
He is the first prop comic. Like I think
he's
Carrot
Carrot
Top
Top,
saw
yeah.
this and was like, "Ooh, Shelley had it figured out.
Fun
I'm
fact.
gonna move to Vegas and get ripped." Well, let's just get into this fucking movie.
Can we
Do you
please
think
get into the fucking
Gallagher
movie?
should have came and killed him maybe, though?
Oh my God. So bad pitch. What if there was a Gallagher slasher type movie where Gallagher just squashed heads with like big hammers?
Yeah, for
The
sure.
good comics?
Like that dude, like in real life, might do that eventually because you heard some of his interviews. He's nutty. He's nutty.
Let's get into this fucking movie, guys.
All right, so we start with the last 6 minutes of part
Why
2.
do they do this?
Can we skip this part? Just go to the actual movie?
Yeah, but
Yeah, if you want to know what happens in the first 6 minutes of this movie, go back to the last episode Jonathan
Exactly.
was on, the part 2 episode, and you'll know. I mean, it literally is like the last
is.
6 minutes of that episode.
It'd be funny. It would be
Or that
funny
movie.
if you just put like the last part of that
We just
podcast
dropped
at
it
the
in.
beginning of this one.
all right.
Except at the end, he takes the machete out of his shoulder and wanders off.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
yeah.
that's the only new part of it.
And
Yeah.
he loses his sack.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry, what was that, Mikey?
He loses
sack on his head.
This face sack.
So, yeah, he lost his sack, and
So is this the first time we see his face? Did we see his face in that flashback scene? The first 6 minutes of the last
No,
movie?
no.
Oh, okay, my
No,
bad.
Because
because-
they've changed the face from that movie.
I know we
Exactly.
see his face a lot in this movie.
in the first movie,
You see his legs a lot in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
He's like just walking around.
Yeah,
He's
like-
always covered by a tree.
He's not trying to hide it all, though.
like he knows exactly where to be when somebody is looking at him from over here.
Right.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
All right, Jen, what happens next?
So now we got credits.
And these credits are horrible.
Oh, I
these are
thought you would like
balling.
these.
Yeah. No,
It's
it's
3D
just-
disco.
It is 3D disco, which is disco. I mean, I don't like these credits because nothing happens in it.
Todd has a vendetta against
I just hate credits where they waste our time. Like they could have cut 2 minutes of runtime out of this movie by playing the credits over the beginning of the
Well, and
movie.
I prefer movies that almost keep the title screen till the end, and then you can show like who
Yeah,
was involved.
absolutely. But yeah, so
Good
what
talk.
happens after the credits?
This guy looks like Gallagher.
Oh, yeah.
It does look like Gallagher.
Oh, yeah. This is my new least least favorite horror trope.
Oh, yeah. Mikey got enraged because they live in
people that own gas stations?
And live there.
So we see a convenience store that is also a house that is also an 80s style drying machine because it's got clotheslines.
But it was clearly none of those things. It was just something they constructed.
Oh, yeah. It was a shack. Yeah.
And it had a very confusing bathroom.
Yeah, and a king-size outhouse.
What is happening in that room?
I mean, if you're going to have an outhouse.
So we have an actress who's supposed to be playing 70, but she's like 22, and she's got curlers in her hair, and she's like old lady yelling.
Were we supposed to assume that those two people were married?
I think so. Yes.
Because she looks like she's his daughter.
Yeah, Mikey said at one point, this is what happens when you make your daughter dress up like your dead wife.
Yeah.
You were a teacher, right? Where they make the kids come to dress like old people?
Oh, on the 100th day of school when you dress like 100-year-olds.
I was like, you were a school teacher. You understand dads doing this to their daughter.
Wait. On the 100th day of school, you dress like a 100-year-old person?
Yeah.
I've never heard
my
that
daughter
before.
did that one year. It was
Okay.
interesting.
It's pretty cute when it's like
it is.
kindergarten.
But she does look like she's doing that. She just got home, and now her old dad who runs this gas station is making her do all the household chores.
But she didn't even do any chores. She's like cosplaying an old lady.
Oh, yeah. That's the other thing. He's going through his fucking convenience store, and he's like eating the food off the shelf and then putting it back on the shelf.
Well, first he eats fish food.
Sunny D.
And he drinks Sunny D. Oh my gosh, like actual Sunny D.
He's lucky that Jason killed him because the Sunny D would have killed him more painfully over time.
He would have lived if he
Wait, was that what Sunny D did to you? Is that why it's gone?
Sunny D is the worst.
So Sunny D is terrible. This guy is also terrible because he's eating, like he's grazing along the shelf, holding this rabbit that came out of nowhere.
It came out of the produce, Jen.
He's killed a lot of people because people that have bought that produce
Yeah.
are
have
dead
eaten
now.
rabbit shit.
They have E. coli.
Yeah. He's licked a bunch of fish food and then eaten food
Also,
all
who's
over the
buying
shelf.
produce at like a fucking gas station?
Exactly.
In
And why
1982?
is the Sunny D not in the refrigerator
It was
section?
the 80s, man. It was weird.
It was
Reagan
nuts.
was president, and this shit was happening.
But they didn't, and they didn't
In
have a
the sequel.
dryer.
That's right. They did not have a dryer, and we had a long talk about when dryers were invented.
And then I got shamed for being poor as a child. Thank you, Mikey.
No, but in all seriousness, so that's a horror movie thing too, because if you have sheets hanging out like that, you can do a creepy shot of somebody hanging out behind
Your
them.
killer has to
They did
stand
that
in
in
the middle.
Halloween also, the first Halloween.
But these sheets are in 3D, guys.
So this is like the horror trope of living at a gas station, having
Yes.
sheets hanging out
Yeah.
for mass murderers to stand behind.
It's like
it's
they
in
threw
3D.
dartboards at horror tropes.
You mean darts?
Yes.
No, they put out a horror trope
They were
board.
actually throwing the dartboards.
Oh, my God.
Like, what the fuck?
Oh, my God.
So he's going back into his outhouse / rabbit hutch.
Yeah, there's
/
so
storage
much going
shed.
on in here. Yeah.
Right.
Because he does have the rabbit cage. He's got shelves behind curtains
With oil on them.
and a
or something.
toilet just in the corner.
Yeah, but he sees that the other two bunny friends are dead.
Yes.
It's called feng shui.
Oh, pardon me.
Yeah, that's fair.
And so while he's investigating the bunny massacre, he opens the hutch and a rattlesnake gets him.
You say rattlesnake, but it really is just a snake with a wire in his mouth, and the
Yes.
wire is clearly visible.
Did
It
we
is.
say that this movie's filmed in 3D so they hold weird objects up in front of the camera for long
Yes,
periods of time?
man.
There's a lot of that, and it's bad.
It is. I thought it was a little humorous because every time something tried to jump out at the screen at me, I got to say, it's coming right for me. So that was fun.
She did that a lot.
It was funny every time.
It was funny
Jonathan.
one time.
Yes, it was
Back
funny
me up.
every time.
Woohoo!
I would like to be invited back.
And so now he's mourning his lost bunny friends by taking a poop in this toilet.
Oh, my God.
And we hear sounds, and it's like he's got a poop belt around him under his shirt. It's real weird.
We hear plops.
We
Yeah,
do.
you
Jim,
do.
that
God.
snake scared the shit out of him.
It literally did.
And the first of two men in this movie that do not wipe their ass after they get
That's
done.
right.
It was a different time.
And it wasn't.
We see when he stands up, there's no poop
He
in the
doesn't
toilet.
wipe.
There's no poop in the toilet.
That's why he didn't need to wipe.
He sucked it
Where
back
did those
in.
sounds come from? This movie's insane.
His half-aged wife made him sit down to pee from now on because she was tired of cleaning the outhouse storage shed rabbit bins.
Hey,
So he sat down to pee.
Then that pee had a lot of plops to it.
Kidney
did.
stones.
Well, there was one part where she's trying to start a car, and it's just it's insane,
like key jingling the whole time. Yeah.
It sounds like the Foley artist was shaking keys above a baby.
Or somebody's just dropping pennies
Right.
like in a well or
Now,
something.
to be fair, he just ate a bunch of fish food and drank Sunny D, so his stuff is all going to be messed
Yeah,
up.
his shit's all fucked up.
Exactly.
I forgot that he ate the fish food and then read the label to make sure, yeah, it is fucked up. I shouldn't do
Yeah.
this.
So then he wanders around this king size bathroom for a long
It
time.
has 4 doors
It does, yeah.
because he opens up different doors.
Well,
yeah,
you got to
this
air it out.
bathroom's like a sedan.
So he finally gets stabbed with a hand axe, as Todd referred to.
Yeah, Todd.
It was a meat cleaver, but I lost the word for meat cleaver.
It's a hand axe.
So I said
happens a
hand
lot.
axe.
Yeah,
But it
that
was a
happens.
meat cleaver. You guys are right.
And so now the wife is looking for him, and we get a.
Is it the wife?
She's coded as the wife.
I think we're
Let's
supposed
say
to
her
assume.
curlers.
Niece.
So we find out this is the day after or later that
Yeah.
night. She's watching news footage of Amy Steele's character getting carted into an ambulance.
Right. HIPAA
From the
violations
second
of flying.
one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if HIPAA was a thing in the 80s.
It was not until
Uh-oh.
late 90s.
But yeah, so she's watching the news footage and she's learning that there was a massacre just miles from her house. All right, so now the wife is looking for him and we see a rat and we get a rat scare.
I like how you said it twice, and the second time you did air quotes like they could see them.
but they can hear them in my heart. The
you hear
listeners
them?
know me by now.
Yeah.
All right. And so she gets rat scared, and so she backs up, and Jason gets her from behind.
Yeah.
Yeah, she got ratted out.
Kills her from behind.
Yeah, kills her from behind. Yeah, doesn't get her from
Oh
behind.
yeah, sorry. Yeah, she
He
didn't
gets
get
her rat style.
Ooh.
So the gas station people are dead.
Yep. Now we get a van full of teens.
Now, yeah.
Finally.
Well,
But,
or maybe 27-year-olds.
Do we
Yes.
do we learn anything with the gas station people?
Yeah, Jason's back, bro.
But we
That's
knew he
true.
was back because he gets up at the end of the 6 minutes of the last
Jason's
film.
back.
It's just an opening.
We learned that
it's just an
Jason's
opening
back.
kill scene that all these sequels have.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay.
We learned that Jason's back, and we learned that this movie is in 3D. So we got a van full of teens.
I don't think they're supposed to be teens.
Early 20s,
Early
maybe.
20s.
I feel like
early
people.
20s, yeah.
I feel like there's
Yeah.
a college.
They're
college
youths.
age. Yeah.
So we've got 2 girls and a boy that get out of this, and then we see a crazy maniacal killer get out of this van.
Oh,
Wait, hold on,
before
go
we-
back.
Yeah, but what we should be talking about right now is when they get out of the car or the van, they say, "Hey, we're going to go pick up your date," and then from the van, you hear. Bring her to me. What is happening with Shirley Franklin or whatever
And then
his name
Todd's
is?
like,
Shelley.
is the
Shelley.
band talking?
You don't know. You don't know if the band's talking.
Like
Right.
this movie's
I
actually
don't know
about
what's happening.
Like it's Jason versus a killer van.
I thought it was Jabba the
That's part 8.
and listen, you guys did tell me that these movies get progressively crazier. I didn't know.
Yeah,
In the 4th one, the van is actually the hero.
I thought it was Jabba the Hutt.
it's
back
Hero
there.
Van.
This whole sequence is insane because, the 3 of them, the main guy and the 2 girls walk up to the house to get Shelley's blind date, more or less, right?
Vera.
But Shelley comes up with like a mask on and
Yeah.
stabs, what's his name?
Not ready to be a father is what I called him.
I don't think
I don't
he's
know
the
what his
father.
name is.
I don't think she's pregnant.
I don't think she's pregnant either.
She makes a random comment, and then if you do look up the plot description, it does say that she's pregnant.
She don't
But-
look pregnant.
No.
Well, Shelley comes up and stabs Andy.
Yeah, but it's not a real knife. It's a
No.
squeaky
It's like a
knife.
retractable
It's a
knife.
prop.
Right.
Yeah.
Revealing himself to not be able to read social situations.
And then
And
what's
to
his
be
face? Billy
awkward.
Bobby Baby. He says,
Andy.
"Oh, Andy."
Andy, yeah.
He turns. He's like, "Shelley, you're my roommate, and I'm obligated to be friends with you.
That's
Yeah.
more or less what he says.
But you've got to cut this shit out because I kind of hate you.
Right.
Yeah, brought you here, and there's actually a girl to be your date.
I'm trying to.
To help
Yeah.
you.
I hate him so much. Anyway, so they get to the door. This is when you first realize that he feels real sorry for himself about how he looks.
Yeah.
Because he wants to wear the mask, and they're like, take the mask off.
Yeah. All right. So we add our new girl Vera to the Scooby crew.
Right.
When Vera comes out, she sees Shelley, and she's like, "Fuck this shit."
Turns out the van's on fire.
Yeah, and this is insane.
Yeah. And
It's
so
not on
then
fire. I should have put that.
Right. Well, it looks like it might be on
Yeah.
fire, and they run back to the van, and then we realize that Cheech and Chong are in this movie.
all right, not Cheech and Chong.
Yeah, we're going to call them Cheech and
Yeah,
Chong because
well-
they are the stand-in for Cheech and Chong.
Exactly.
What are their
Yeah.
names,
They're
though?
like Chili and Choo Choo.
Chuck and Chili.
Chili
Yeah.
and Choo Choo.
Yeah, they're both CC names. Like they
Yeah.
are. They lean into the fact that
I
they're
think it's
ripping
Chuck
off
and
Cheech and
Chili.
Chong. Yeah,
I think it's
right.
Chuck
This
and Chili
movie has
too.
all the names of Thomas the Tank Engine characters.
Okay, so the van is saved because it's not actually on fire.
It's getting hotboxed by
Oh my
Cheech and
God,
Chong.
yeah. In fact, I don't even know why there's a smoking pot after that, because you would just that'd be a contact high immediately.
Exactly. It's
mean,
like
that is-
two gigantic bongs, too.
Yeah, because we cut to them driving and everyone is passing around joints. There's like 4 joints.
Yeah.
and
So
they'll
As they're
puff past
driving
them.
down the road, smoke would just be coming out of the.
And it is. And they assume the cops behind them are like pulling them over. So they start
I forgot about that.
They start to Super Trooper where they eat all the pot.
Yeah. But so while we're hotboxing this van, this is when we find out that one of the van compadres is pregnant.
Yeah, this is when we find out that whatever her name is,
Yeah.
so she at least says she's pregnant.
She does.
Something about she has to go to the bathroom, and then she's like, "You just went to the bathroom,"
Yeah.
and she's like, "But that happens when you're pregnant."
She has
Yeah.
to stop the podcast every 20 minutes to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, Mikey.
Mikey, are you pregnant?
Genius.
Are you junior?
Oh my God.
What is this lady's name?
Debbie?
Yeah, Debbie. So she may or may not be pregnant. It
Yes.
never gets mentioned again.
Right.
She does attempt to drink a beer and smokes pot. So, well, this is the 80s.
And has some hammock sex.
making
She has a
little
lot more
Debbie.
personality than Chris.
That's true.
That's true.
I mean, honestly, I did like the pregnant girl's character more than the
I
final
did too.
girl.
I
So
did
they
too.
had switched it.
She's one of the few characters in this series so far. I think I was actually sad when they died.
I know, yeah. All right, so they're driving past the convenience store and pulling bodies out, and there's a dead bunny in the road, the 4th bunny from the bunny massacre.
Yeah,
I
it
missed
almost
all
got
these
away.
bunnies somehow.
Yeah, because we were talking the whole
yeah.
time. But as they're driving past, Chris isn't looking out the window. She's in the window of the
Oh, my
van,
God.
leaning out.
Yeah.
So much that I tried to mime doing it in my chair, and I almost fell onto Mikey on the couch.
That is true.
Yeah.
And they almost run over a weird old man just laying in the middle of the road.
I mean,
I know.
if you're choosing to lay in the road, you're getting run
He
over.
definitely dies because of that at some point in his life.
say-
Say
Yes.
home. He was definitely homeless.
Well, I don't know.
He was experiencing homelessness. Yeah.
Yes.
He was like a highway preacher.
He was.
He was the harbinger
he-
for sure in this movie. And they all get out and they're like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "I only have eyes for this van."
Yeah, because he's got an eyeball in his hand.
Well, and because the harbinger of the first 2 films died.
Yes, he
and
did.
last time
Oh,
that part
yeah.
where Jason was hiding behind the tree somehow.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Crazy Ralph.
So he shows the van people his eye, and
Yeah.
unlike Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where they're like, "Oh, that's fine, that's
Yeah,
fine,"
come in our
they're
van
like,
with us.
"Oh, this is fucking weird. We're out of here."
Yeah.
and they get back in the van and leave.
I didn't really hear him warn him of anything.
I mean, I think if a dude's holding a van talking about how someone who like walked up to him gave him an eyeball, that's enough warning for me. I'm out.
It
Yeah,
was
but
the
he was like-
eyeball in like a bag.
No, he
That
was
was in
holding
his
it
hand.
Oh, it wasn't in a bag.
like a
It looked,
drug.
it looked like it was plastic or something.
It did look like it was.
It was
in
a real
plastic.
eyeball. I've seen him.
See?
Okay.
But we also may not have heard that he was warning them of anything because we were talking.
We were laughing because
oh
it was
my God,
ridiculous.
that's an eye. Because the eye is 3D coming right at me.
Yes.
Well, he just talks about the eye. Then when they run off, he's like, "I warned you." And I was like,
I warned you.
It's very 3D campy.
This is also by far the grossest of the first 3, I would say.
Yeah, it's pretty gruesome.
that fro on Shelley was hideous.
Oh, it's the worst. So now they get to the actual like
They do.
campground, right?
To a cabin and a swimming hole.
Right. And it's
And-
not the campground from the first 2?
No.
It doesn't look the
No.
same at
I
least.
think
No,
it's
it
on the
couldn't be
same
because those
lake.
people just died over
But
there.
it's on
Yeah.
Exactly.
it's on
It's
Crystal
crime
Lake.
scene.
Yeah.
Yes.
They're still in the same area.
Let's take a moment here to appreciate. We never get a good view of what this place looks like on the outside.
No, we don't.
And the inside layout looks like maybe a treehouse.
Yeah, but there's also like 5 different locations that it might be.
It's Swiss Family Robinson with Jason.
She brings pregnant Debbie up
They
to
do have
a room and just says, "Here's your hammock."
Yeah.
This is so confusing though, because we find out I don't mean to jump ahead, but just real quick, we find out 3 years before she was attacked by somebody in the woods,
Yeah.
which ends up being Jason. So if that's the case, then he's been
on the loose.
been on the loose for a while, killing
Yeah.
people. So it's how does anybody still live there or have
Right.
have a house there? And
3 years ago, Jason was paid by her parents to get her back.
So Chris walks into this house and immediately gets assaulted by Rick, who's just
Oh,
he's
yeah.
like the handyman for their house or
And
something.
like just full mouth on kisses. her.
Right.
It's very weird.
It is. It's
Yeah.
not okay. Yeah,
and
you
he
need
looks
to
like
get
he's
consent.
about 15 years older than her. Maybe that's a Crystal Lake thing.
Maybe.
Like,
I mean,
like, I'm finally 40. I finally get my 20-year-old.
Right.
At Crystal Lake. Yeah.
you know what happens at Crystal Lake stays at
I'm
Crystal
moving
Lake.
to Crystal Lake.
Not yet. You got a few years.
All right. And so she's talking about how she didn't want to go back there, and it's only been 3 years. And then everyone else is going skinny dipping, but we find out that Shelley is whining in the car because he can't go skinny dipping because he's not skinny
And then
enough.
we get to keep the camera on Shelley instead of the skinny dipping,
Yeah.
which was a great choice.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I remember Mikey during this part was very upset that he said that he was not skinny enough to go skinny dipping.
He just needs to believe in himself.
He does, man.
man.
Confidence is more attractive than skinny.
I will say daytime skinny dipping is a power play.
It's very ballsy.
Yeah.
Confidence is more attractive than pretending like you're going to kill somebody.
That's
or
true.
kill yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Confidence is more attractive than being an incel.
Just get your dick out and get in the water.
Okay, that sounded very sexual assaulting, but in context, that's what everyone's
were
doing.
joking.
Now we find out that Debbie has to sleep in a hammock.
It's the only bed you see in this entire place.
Oh,
too.
how do you give
Right.
how is that not Vera's room or Shelley's room? Why are you going to give the couple
Because
the
that's
hammock?
the only bed.
That's the nicest room in the treehouse.
That's true. Yeah.
Oh, there like weren't beds in the other room.
No, none of them. There were no beds anywhere. That's the only bed
That's
they
why
have.
everybody kept going to the barn to like sleep.
That's
in the
right. They have to sleep in the hay bales.
So when
And that was
they're-
and that was like the first thing they did when they got there. Was like, hey, now that you're here, let's go get this hay up in the barn.
Yeah.
none of that
Hey.
So
makes sense.
important.
It's insane.
Well, and it's hay bale time now. And so Rick is shirtlessly raising hay bales.
It's just one hay bale.
Oh, sorry.
And then this is where we're finding out that Chris is talking about how her dad, question mark?
Yeah, her
is
dad.
like gonna get a horse every year, but
Oh,
then decides
yeah.
not to at the last
And
minute.
just
So
buys
he's
hay.
always buys like a shitload of hay,
Yeah.
Which
but
isn't
no
true
horse.
because this is a shitty lake house. If he was going to buy anything, he'd buy beds.
That's
There's plenty of hammocks.
He's
Why
blowing
not
all his
bed?
money
Yeah.
on hay and hammocks, man.
Oh God.
Who has ever seen a hammock indoors?
Okay, that answers the question right there. Zero people.
Chris tells a lot of stories in this movie, though.
Yeah.
She
like
does.
half her dialogue is like talking about her dad and then
Yeah.
talking about
She's very gremlin.
she's Phoebe Cates.
Yeah.
And you'd think she'd be more interesting based on all the stories she tells.
God, you got some hot takes there,
Oh,
Jen.
sorry.
I do think the pregnant lady, whose name escapes me, is more
Debbie.
interesting.
I will
Yeah.
say from Friday the 13th fans I've listened to or talked to, most people do consider her one of the weakest.
Yeah.
And it's right
Of
after
the
the last
final
one, who I
girls.
think is the
She's
best one
fine.
so far.
Yeah, for sure.
Amy, I think was her
Jenny.
name.
Jenny.
Jenny.
In the second
Amy's
one?
the actress's name.
Okay.
So they're hay flirting, and he like pulls her up, and we learn that they've got a history.
Yeah,
Rick
this
and
is where we
Chris.
learn that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I get the feeling that's like their summer home or something. And,
Yeah.
And so
And
whenever
he's
she
the
comes, they
handyman.
hook up. Are we at the point where he explains to her that he could have fucked somebody else?
This
my
is where he
God,
says, "Hey, I
yeah.
could have spent the weekend
Guys,
with Christy
I mean,
Sue."
Andy is a really cool dude, mainly because Shelley and Rick are awful.
Yeah.
Like, Andy doesn't get a chance to be a dick.
Hold on, I will defend this banter because he was like,
Really?
he's
No.
doing manual labor for her.
He
first
is,
off.
yeah. He's
Yeah,
helping
yeah.
her
And then he's
build
like,
whatever
I
they're
could
doing.
have just hung out with so and so.
Yeah, no,
he doesn't say fuck her.
He's speaking with his dick at that point.
And then she goes, "Yeah, you could have." She like banters back. It was I thought it was more of a back and forth.
He said that he wants to make an arrangement where they spend 3 hours a day with each other.
Yeah. 1 hour in the morning and 2 hours at night.
Oh, I missed that part. Ooh, shitty.
Yeah. You still want to defend the banter,
Nope.
Mikey?
Do you think he keeps that sweater wrapped around him?
Not
Yeah.
in this scene.
Sometimes he throws it on the hay bale.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. But she doesn't seem like she's uncomfortable. She's
No.
kind of playing along
Yeah,
with it.
she's sort of into it.
And she
yeah.
actually gets up on the rope thing that he's pulling up, and like he pulls her up, and then he just
Yes.
drops her.
Well, I mean, yeah, lets her down
think-
slowly.
playing
Sure.
around.
I think if he hadn't attacked her and acted like such an ass when she walked in the previous scene, maybe that scene wouldn't play as creepy.
Yeah.
Right. So now they hear a scream from inside the house.
Yeah. Oh,
And
my
so she
God.
runs to investigate. We find Shelley dead in the armoire, but not so fast. He's just kidding.
This
and
is
nobody
the
likes
worst.
him.
I hate him so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're kind of like, oh, good, he's dead.
I know. I was like, all right, this got started and they got rid of the
here you
person
go.
I hated the most. So
Aw.
cool.
Yeah, he had a hand axe through his forehead.
It was a hand axe.
And
Mikey.
look, if you're the kind of person that pretends to be dead lots of times and your friend group thinks that's funny and it's kind of like a game you guys all play, that's cool. But he's just not reading the room.
He's not
right.
like doing a bit that his friends like. His friends fucking hate this.
Right.
And he keeps doing it.
Well, and it's one of those things too. It doesn't even make sense why he's there. Like,
What if
Right.
what if Shelley? He's Rick's roommate or whatever his name is. Roommate.
How dare
Andy.
you stand up for Shelley?
I'm just saying.
Shelley
What if
apologist.
Shelley is like a possum, and when he gets scared, he just plays dead, and it's just more
so
elaborate. as a
you like
human.
Shelley?
No,
Why are you
He's a Shelley
defending him?
apologist.
no.
So now Shelley's playing dead, and so nobody likes him, so he just decides to tag along with Vera to go to the store.
The cashier at the gas station tells her, upon seeing her, we don't take food stamps.
Yeah. Just real casual racism.
You know what makes me sad about this, though? She then turns to Shelley Franklin and is like, hey, I need money.
Yeah, like she's used to that.
I know. And she didn't bring money with her. She was at the register
And
ready to pay.
he wasn't supposed to go with her.
I know.
And he's
What was
looking
she
at
gonna do?
porn.
It makes no sense.
So maybe she did have food stamps.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like,
okay.
you don't know.
Wait, hold on. Shelley is her date,
Right.
quote unquote. If he comes to the grocery store, he's buying the groceries.
But she was driving off without him. He begged her to let
That's
him go.
true.
But
Yeah.
now that he's there, he should pay.
She didn't bring
I
the money
agree,
in.
but she has no money and she's at the grocery store.
We don't know that. She just goes, Shelley, come pay for this.
Maybe she's like, well, you're good for one
But she's
thing.
definitely super used to racism because she
Yeah.
doesn't even bat an eye. She's like, whatever.
So while she is, for some reason, standing at the register with no way to pay, Shelley is just looking at porn.
Yep.
So Shelley throws his wallet and it comes right at us because it's in 3D.
Oh, my God.
But
And it's a
then
Velcro wallet.
It is a Velcro wallet with a picture of him and his mom. And
I'm surprised his shoes aren't Velcro.
And a condom and a condom in a red wrapper.
Oh my God.
Well-
and we know this because
we see a high-heeled biker boot step
The
on
Warriors
it.
leftovers.
Right. Yeah. And we see our lady biker who can't make eye contact with anyone talking to her and asking
That
her
was
why there's a
hilarious.
It really was. It was like she was reading. It's like
She's reading
SNL.
lines.
But she's like going through and condom shaming her for holding on to Shelley's wallet. What's the problem with this condom? At least she has some.
he has some. Shelley has a condom in his wallet for what purpose? Like, why does he
Just
have
in
one?
case?
Just in case of what?
Andy said he was bringing him a date.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Still. Just in case of what? There's no way he's getting lucky.
Yeah, I'm far less creepy than Shelley, and bringing a condom on a first date is very optimistic.
Exactly. Even
Very
if your first
optimistic.
date, even if your first date is like a weekend long, which never do that.
That sounds
No.
terrible.
That's how you get murdered.
When you were single back in the day, did you never like just keep a
I
condom
keep
in your
them
wallet?
in my
ask
car.
That makes sense.
So we've got our biker lady who's not making eye contact, and we have our biker gang who are the ghosts of Marley and
yeah,
Marley.
they're Marley and Marley from the Christmas Carol. 'Cause they are literally wearing chains.
Which
They
version of A
are.
Christmas Carol?
The
Oh, it's all-
one with Michael Caine.
Yes, the Muppets, which is the definitive
Agree.
adaptation.
Although I did recently watch the Jim Carrey one for the first time. Not bad.
So the ghosts of Marley and Marley accost Shelley, and
Well,
somehow
because they're not actually a ghost. They can actually accost somebody.
Yeah, and somehow they get out of that jam, and so now they get into their car, but the biker gang is back and menacing Shelley, and Shelley backs into their bike.
He doesn't mean to, though.
He doesn't. He's
is
just bumbling.
a Magoo idiot, and he
Yeah.
backs into their bikes.
So Marley Sr. comes out and chain forces this car to stop by the power of his fist.
And why do you stop? Like, why do you not just swerve around him?
Because
That
you're
was
an idiot.
insane.
Also, this isn't a yellow bug, which I think is important to visualize.
That's true. It's Herbie.
Yeah, if you're not laughing right now, it's because you're not picturing the bug.
Right.
So Marley Sr. punches
it's
through
Rick's
the windshield and the side window.
Yeah,
which is
and all the
cool.
windows.
It is cool.
It is cool.
And Shelley is like over it and like drives away, right?
But then
And
Shelley
then-
decides to be a man of action.
Yeah, and then he floors it and like does a quick turn and runs over the motorcycle.
Is he a man? No, he. That's what he ends up doing. But what he tries to do is murder the guy.
He does. Yeah. It was almost a hate crime. You're not wrong. He goes and aims for Marley Sr. and Marley
That would've
Sr.
been-
jumps out of the
that
way and then he
would've
runs
been
over the
amazing.
cars.
Think if he had murdered him with the rest of the movie was like a Bonnie and Clyde movie with with Shelley and Vera. It was like Queen and Slim with Shelley and Vera.
Where he gets his bag out and he's like,
Yeah.
"This is the mask you wear. This is
Yeah.
the mask I wear."
But he does run over the tire of one of the
Yeah.
bikes and then speeds away. But
Yeah.
before he leaves, the Marley Sr. runs into the street and pulls a ball cap out of his pocket and throws it down. And then I guess quickly writes down their address because they show up later.
Right. Inciting the feud that will continue the plot of this movie.
Important thing to visualize: all these bikers are dressed like Rufio from Hooked.
These are not
It's not
intimidating
Hook.
bikers.
It's just Hook.
Oh, is it?
It's so good. But you're right. They all do look like Rufio. Yeah. I love you.
Yeah.
man.
All right, so now it's yo-yo time. But not just any yo-yo, it's 3D yo-yo time.
Yeah. And he's dropping it on the face of the pregnant girl, right?
Yep.
Who's in a blue bikini?
Right.
But her eyes
And
are
has
up
to
here.
be freezing.
Oh, she is cold. You can tell.
Oh, And so now Shelley gets back, and Rick sees that all of the windows in his car have been busted out. So he's pissed,
he's super
and he wants
casual
to leave.
about this.
Rick is super nice
Because
about
they're
it, though.
dicks to him. They're just like,
They are.
sorry, bro.
Sorry about your sweater,
Just,
man.
like, toss him the keys and then walk in the
If
house.
you
Right.
look closely at the scene, Shelley hands him money to do the repairs.
Oh, does
does
he?
he?
Yes,
I
he
did not
does.
see that.
We can go back to the tape.
I'm not going to go
Welcome back
the
to
tape.
Shelleypologist.
He pulled out. I think we would have heard the Velcro though.
No, he had
That's
it ready.
true.
Yeah.
Because Shelley's the type that would be like super nervous about seeing
He
Rip.
would be, yeah,
and he
you're
would be
right.
rehearsing it.
It really felt like, sorry, man.
It did
and
feel like-
just walked in the house.
Shelley's a piece of shit. But can we talk about how does Rick even fit in this car? Because Rick's like 7 feet tall.
Well,
Yeah,
he's
he
like a
is.
handy. I mean, I've never known like somebody that does work on people's houses that doesn't have like a truck with like a tool bed in the back. And
Nope.
you're not gonna have
He
a
just puts it all in his front. Because it's a Herbie.
I wasn't picturing the Herbie. That's
The
why.
engine's in the back of those.
Ooh.
Are we bugging you?
So Rick wants to leave because they just destroyed his car, but Chris wants him to stay. And now Prego and Not Ready to Be a Father are about to go skinny dipping.
Right.
But the biker man is here.
Right. And this is where Chris and Rick peel off and go off to fix his
I
car.
like
That's
that
right.
Rick's having like a you can tell he's having a hard time in his mind. Like, I mean, should I be pissed about the car or do I have a boner?
Exactly.
It's
Where is
both.
the blood going to go?
Well, Chris gave him the speech of like, I really want you to stay. You know, I've really enjoyed talking to you.
He's
And
like
Todd
holding
turns
on to the
me-
sleeves of his sweater.
Todd turns to me in the movie and whispers, he's like, you would have stayed, Mikey.
Well,
And I was
yeah.
like, God
Listen, if that had happened to me and Natalie was like, I don't want you to stay, I would totally have stayed.
You would have
Yeah.
sat on the glass in that car and driven
I-
somewhere to fix it.
In all fairness, Chris is nice. She goes with
is.
him. Like they
She
wanted to
sits on
spend
the
time
glass,
together.
too.
Yeah. So they go off as a couple to do whatever. I guess they go fix the glass because later we see the car
Yeah, it's
and
fine.
it's fixed. So that's what they go and do.
Yeah, they fixed the glass.
Yeah.
So now, while they are skinny dipping, the biker men are back.
And woman.
And the biker gang.
God damn it, Jen.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Also, gang is a hard word for
Sexist.
3 people.
The
Yeah.
biker grew. The biker threesome is here.
And it's a devil's three-way. There's 2 men and 1 woman.
Yes.
Is that because of 2 horns? Is
Yes,
that what-
ma'am. She got it. The horns are dicks.
Yeah, I got that.
Okay, I'm moving on. All right. So now, biker, who I think her name is Foxy.
Yeah, it is, and she is.
She goes into the barn, and we start to hear the Jason music, and then Jason's right behind her, and she's just wandering around this barn looking at barn stuff.
I hated the scene because she does not act like someone who was broken into a barn should act.
Right.
And while she's doing this, Marley and Marley are pulling gas out of the gas
Whoa.
tank. Exactly. And she's in there sort of casing the scene because they're going to burn down that barn, or that's what
Right.
the plan is, right? She should be more concerned that the person who owns it is there.
Right, exactly. Because she
not.
keeps hearing people.
Yeah.
She just wants to get all the Old West memorabilia out before they burn
She
it down.
is touching every
Time
bit
out.
of Ruby Tuesday's artifacts you see on their wall.
But
Yeah.
time out here. This is not an over response by this biker threesome because Shelley tried to murder them and brought them here.
I
If
don't
Shelley
think
did
it's-
not try to murder that guy, they wouldn't be at this barn.
I don't think it's an overreaction either. I think it is gangland warfare time
Yeah.
because Shelley threw the first punch.
He tried to murder
Yeah.
him.
They
He
accosted him while he was just trying to
I
read
mean,
porn
I don't
by
understand why they didn't just go try to find him though and beat him up or something.
Why
as
did they
opposed to
skip
burning
straight
up
to
the
arson?
barn.
Well, we
Yeah.
don't know what all their plan was. Maybe they're trying to lure him into the barn, knock him out, and then burn him alive.
You know the funny thing
it
here-
wasn't hard to get people to go to that barn.
No.
Everybody just kind of glanced over
I know,
and was
the barn
like,
is like a magnet.
"Barn, I should go check that shit out."
It's a nicer building than whatever
Yeah.
building they were sleeping in.
That's true.
I do love that they just assume he lives there, I guess. Like, they assumed it was his car, but it's not. It's Rick's car. So they're going to burn down Rick's barn in retaliation for something Shelley did.
It's not Rick's barn though. It's Chris's
It's
family.
Chris's barn, and the car's not even there. The car was driven off to get the windshield replaced.
So now all they can
Yeah.
see is the van.
And they're literally pulling gas out of a vehicle that was not involved in the murder
no,
attempt.
but you know what? Shelley's probably there doing something fucking dumb anyway, so you know
Yeah.
it's all him.
Did you not see the movie? That's all he does. Yeah.
So, biker lady almost face plants on a pitchfork.
Yes, which is a little foreshadowing.
It is foreshadowing,
Yeah.
yes, because she goes
You've
up
been
into the
holding on to
loft and she says, "Hey, is anybody up there?"
Yeah.
And
I am
then-
breaking in. Are you the owner or are you also breaking in?
And then she starts swinging on this hook that we've seen before. And then suddenly she's gone because she sees her gang pal Snow Cone outside.
Yeah, Hawaiian Ice.
Yeah.
Bahama Mama.
And so Snow Cone goes into the barn, also looking around at all the memorabilia. And then he goes up into the loft and he sees that Foxy has been forked up against the wall.
Yeah, she got forked super hard.
She did.
Through
And
her
she's
neck.
dead.
And she's hanging.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was forked to death.
Listeners. So now Snow Cone turns around and there's Jason and he pitchforks him
In
too.
the gut.
There's a second pitchfork, guys.
Yeah.
All right. So now there's only one biker left.
It's the biker who was almost run over.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he's yelling it for Snow Cone and he walks in and Snow Cone, the other biker man, just falls on top of him and they have a little bit of a tender moment where he says goodbye to his biker friend.
Does it?
No, he just
Yeah.
throws the
Just
body
throws him off of him, yeah.
And the body's looking straight up in his blood, and he's like, ah!
It's a tender moment though. They look,
all right,
bikers
all right.
have bonds with each other.
I think
I
you're-
watch Sons of Anarchy.
Yeah.
It's always sad when a threesome ends.
Yeah. So now they say goodbye to each other, and then Jason takes this biker down with one swing, and then we off camera see him like hacking him.
So Jason hits him with what looks like a hammer.
Right.
But at this point, I thought he died.
I
but
did
'cause
too.
He hits him like 9 times.
does.
But he doesn't die. We see him later.
Right. All right. So now we're back at the cabin, and Shelly and Andy are juggling to try to get their ladies.
Oh, and this was a 3D thing too. I
Yeah, the
guess.
juggling balls
It
were
was,
coming right
yeah.
at me.
Because it's shot from over top and it's supposed to be coming at the camera or whatever.
Balls coming out the camera?
Yeah.
I would love to go back and be like in the writer's room
Todd
or the
made-
writer's outhouse or whatever it was.
with the bunny hutch in the
Yeah.
corner. Well, apparently they had a really hard time getting a lot of the 3D to work, and it would take a really long time to set shots up.
bet.
So they just kind of started playing around and thinking of gimmicks.
Debbie and Vera are looking at each other like, yeah, they're both nerds. And then,
Let's go have sex.
so Debbie says, I know a better way you can use those hands or something like that.
And then she whispers the explanation of the shocker in his ear, causing him to throw all of his balls into the air.
And then Andy's like, you win, Shelly. I'm going to go have sex. And Shelly's like, oh.
I will give you a Shelly perspective here. Because they go up to the hammock to
The
have
Shelly
sex.
perspective.
Shelly still juggling.
Yeah.
Pro tip, never hit on a woman while you're juggling.
You're going to get a ball in your eye.
Isn't that when
Never
she's?
gonna
Isn't he still juggling when he's checking out her butt? too?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can I reenact this scene?
Yes. Can I be Vera?
Yeah.
Right.
Is this because then he stops juggling? He goes, Vera, I've talked to you today for like 20 minutes, and you're my date for the weekend, right? And she's like, yeah. And he's like, I just want you to know, like, I really like you.
And then Vera's like, no.
Yeah.
Puts her hand on his mouth.
She says, Shelly, I don't think so.
Yeah.
But Vera, you know, like we talked though for some, and then you saw me like try to murder a guy.
Yeah.
Then Vera decides to go outside.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
she
was
says,
like,
I'm going to go outside for a little bit, then I'll come back in and we'll talk.
Just ignore all the laughing you hear me doing. And when I come back, we can talk about this. is what
Right.
she
I think
says,
she's going
yeah.
outside though to actually be like. She's probably like weighing out the pros and cons.
No, I think she went outside to laugh and then go back in and have a conversation
Not
about
me.
why
I
she's not
think
going to have sex with him.
She was staring at that water and was like, I think I'd rather drown myself than go in and have sex with Shelly.
And this nasty, foggy, milky water.
Lake.
Crystal Lake.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't actually.
But Vera's out there like just, over it.
Yeah, she's trying to escape the awkwardness. Now we cut back to hammock sex, proving
my
that
God.
it is in fact possible. They're talking about if it's better than the last time. And she's like, no, I think it
Would
was
you
the
get
hammock.
like rope burns on your butt? Then?
She would, yeah, because
You
she was
got to
on
put
bottom.
a quilt down underneath
You would use it like I would put her in the hammock and I would be standing up.
Yeah, so like, yeah,
That's
absolutely.
a recipe for falling over, Mikey.
No, you don't
'Cause you
even
would
get
have-
in it. The male does not get
Yeah.
in it. Yeah, and you just
You
use
just
the
swing,
hammock.
yeah, the motion.
Yeah, the motion
And then
of
you
the
got
hammock.
hands on
Like
her.
it's like an indoor swing.
I like that you know that. That is not at all what they do. They both get in the hammock and they, I guess, just bump Uggs for a few minutes and then that's it. And she says it's the best ever.
Because of the hammock.
Right. And he's like, well, I think it was because of me.
That was banter I could get behind.
Yeah, like he did.
That was not like
So now Chris and Rick are sitting out by their car, and this is when we get the chimney scene from Gremlins, Friday the 13th style.
This scene doesn't make sense because they've driven to a different part of the woods that's isolated.
I think it's just another place by the lake because I
Yeah.
think there was water on one side of them.
It's like a burned out chimney
Yeah.
that they're sitting on.
And then she's like, I need to tell you a story.
Yeah.
I brought you here because, and he's like, no, I drove us here.
Exactly. Yeah. I sat on glass for this, and this is what you get me.
Yeah.
What would have made that made more sense though is if he was like a sacrifice she had to bring out there.
That actually would have been a nice twist.
All right, so she's talking about how she had a fight with her mom and her mom slapped her, and she ran outside and she decides to own her parents by sleeping in the woods all night and putting herself in great danger.
Yeah, get back at her parents by having to stay outside all night in the woods.
Who would, even if you like to camp, you're not doing that.
Right.
You know how I know she has no friends? Because she went to the woods and stayed in the woods.
Right.
You would go to a friend's house.
Yeah. Or just sleep in your car or something. So she's talking about her flashback, and she fell asleep by a tree in the woods, and she hears a noise behind her, and there was a hideous man that we find out we know is Jason, but she just thinks it's some man with a deformed face. He has a knife and he's attacking her, and she's kicking her, and he's dragging her into the forest, and then she passes out and wakes up in her own bed, and it was all a dream. Or maybe.
Was it all a dream?
No, it wasn't.
None of this you don't know. None of this makes sense. They never explain what happened.
Okay, Jason has lived at Crystal Lake for a long time.
Yeah.
So obviously the locals have developed some sort of relationship with him. The kid ran off. They paid Jason to go get her and scare her to death and make sure she didn't run off anymore. It doesn't make any other sense because Jason's never spared a victim.
Exactly. It is very strange.
So then it could be a dream, but then at the same time, she sees Jason clearly.
And then he acts like he knows her.
Well, and it's implied that he assaulted her, that he sexually assaulted her, but they don't go into that detail. And apparently they were going to lean more into that, but she was a really devout Mormon and didn't want to say that. And they also thought that would
the actress.
Yeah, the actress is a devout Mormon. She didn't want to say that. They thought it would be too dark for this movie, but there was more of a clear implication.
Better pitch would be to make Debbie the final girl, and she does get sexually assaulted, and that's his baby.
So he listens to this sad chimney story, and then Rick decides it's time to take off. But I mean, he is a little bit caring when she tells him this very strange story.
Yeah, unlike in Gremlins, where the male main character is ignoring the female character who's giving this really heartfelt, sad speech. He's actually invested. Yeah,
he is, and they don't have to give Gizmo the reaction shot for this movie.
What if it had cut over and Jason's crying out of his good eye?
Oh my God.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. All right, so what happens next, Jen?
I want somebody to film that.
Now we got Chuck and Chili, and Chuck is going to the outhouse. So this is the second man we see taking a shit in this movie.
And he goes outside barefoot to the outhouse.
Yes.
And
so
Mikey,
disgusting.
I thought it was weird that Mikey kept saying when people were taking shits, these were his favorite scenes. But now I get it.
He felt a spiritual connection.
I was like, it's my turn to go too.
And so he hears a noise and doesn't wipe or check out what he just passed. And that's when we find out that he's got yellow underpants.
That was a weird visual. Like, nobody could see that, but Jen just kind of glanced over her backside, kind of like almost flirtatious. It was almost flirtatious. Like,
that was just for you guys.
But I mean, when because he's smoking pot, and then the whole outhouse shakes, and he's like, "Oh, this is some good shit," and then it shakes again.
Heavy
And he's
shit.
like, "Oh, that's what it was." Yeah, and you shouldn't invite that when you're taking a shit.
You shouldn't be doing things other than taking a shit. These people are eating and drinking.
You had a very big problem with completing the cycle.
You did.
That's all I'm saying.
I've ate while I've pooped before.
What?
Why would you admit
It's
to
like
that?
a funnel.
No, it's like you reach equilibrium, like the equal amount going in.
Oh,
and out.
No.
Okay, so you're
Hey,
wiping
wait,
your
real quick,
ass
though.
and eating?
Is that the shocker?
No, you're not wiping while you eat.
All right,
Gross.
anyway. So it shakes a second time, and that's when he's like, "Oh, something's happening. I got to get out."
And we find out that his underwear matches his yellow shirt.
It does, yeah, except the back's really brown.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
that
then he
yellow
doesn't
underwear, man. That was a quick shot of that. That was crazy.
It was
Look, if
crazy.
you don't wipe with toilet paper, something else is going to take the force of that. And it's most likely going to be your underpants.
Yeah.
Then we get a jump scare from Chili. And so they go into the barn to try to murder Shelly for all of his practical jokes on them. And then we get Vera back on the dock.
Oh yeah, because they see Jason
man.
go in the bar and they think it's Shelly.
Thought we were about to talk. I forgot Chili's death scene comes a little later. That's my favorite part. Okay, go on.
Well, and because this barn is like a magnet. And so Vera's on the dock and she gets grabbed by the foot and almost pulled into the water.
God.
And then we find out that Shelly is just not going to quit with this shit.
How did he get in the water, by the way, without her knowing?
I don't know.
Just picture him walking to the other side of the lake. I hope she didn't look over here.
Not only that, he's gonna be like, "This is gonna get her. She's gonna like me after this."
Yeah.
So she gets real mad.
Yeah.
And he goes into the barn to try to hatch more Shelly nanigans.
Oh my God, Jen, how long were you sitting on that?
I wrote it in my notes.
So an hour and a half you've been sitting
And then
on
we
that.
just never see him again.
No,
We
well, Vera
don't.
yells at him first. I think it's important.
Yeah.
Yes, she
Because
does
she's
stand up
not
for
having
herself.
it because it's not cool.
And she's like, Shelly, you don't have to do this. And he's like, I do have to do
I
it.
just want people to like me.
And she's like,
You're not that bad looking. People will like you if you just don't do all this shit. So Shelly storms off to pout and hatch more Shelly nanigans in the barn.
Yes.
Trademark Shelly nanigans.
From what I understand, he does die, but they did not show that in the movie.
yeah.
There was something about the scene that didn't work. I don't remember.
So Vera finds Shelly's wallet and opens it up and sees Velcro over it.
Yeah. Foley guy couldn't get that down well.
Right.
Yeah.
And then
she
drops it in the lake.
Yeah, she just drops it in the lake.
Drops it in the lake.
She looks at the picture of him and his mom. Was like, look at that ugly mother, and just
Aw.
throws the wall in the lake.
Ooh. But she does have a change of heart and she tries to get this Velcro wallet back because if that Velcro gets too wet, it's just not going to work anymore.
And by this time, that Velcro wallet is no longer right next to her. It's traveled about 60 feet down the
Well, and he's
lake
apparently
bed.
got like a lot of money in there if he's giving Rick like
yeah.
fixing glass windshield
Well, it
money.
had a lot of money.
Maybe- yeah,
in
maybe
there.
it's gone.
Now it's just condoms.
He bought a
I think
spear
he's a rich
gun
kid.
for a prank. Of course, he's got a lot
Yeah,
of money.
I think he's a rich kid.
Yeah.
He's got to be. Well, no longer because he's dead. But now we see Jason walk out with the hockey mask that Shelly was wearing.
Yes.
And the harpoon gun that he had just had.
And so we could legitimately think it might be Shelly if we don't
No,
remember
we
what
don't.
Shelly looked like or acted
And how
like.
tall he was. And that he's not wearing the scuba
I
suit.
don't think she's really paying attention at first. I think she's just kind of like, Shelly, just stop it. Because I think
Yeah.
she just notices the hockey mask. But then when she actually looks,
Yeah, and he's not
Yeah.
chubby anymore.
she's kind of like,
Why am I sexually attracted to Shelly all of a
Shelly.
sudden?
That mask
I have your
on.
wallet.
that bald head and that green jacket.
So she comes out on the dock and she's like, what the fuck, Shelly? And then gets harpooned right through the eye.
Yeah, he shoots her in
That
the eye.
might have been an
Yes.
okay 3D effect. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. Oh,
I
yeah.
bet
yeah.
it was cool, yeah. But I mean, it doesn't look good in this movie because it's not 3D anymore. But
Right.
yeah.
So we're back to hammock sex. And this is when they talk about whether it's one of the best ones yet. But she goes to shake the hammock off and take a shower.
Yes.
And so.
Gotta wash that hammock off of herself.
Exactly. There's like hemp fibers and stuff stuck to you, probably. So,
And you
Andy.
think you're getting away with no nudity? No.
Nope.
Exactly, yeah.
No, and honestly, we haven't seen nudity to this point.
We
We
haven't.
didn't see it when they were skinny dipping. We didn't see it during the sex, I don't think.
No, we
No.
Well,
So, not ready to be a father yet. He hand walks up to the shower and asks her if she wants a beer. And she says, yes, I'm pregnant, but I don't care. And so then he goes out in the hallway and Jason is
This is the worst.
is looming above him. And then he gets like machete split in half.
yeah.
Split in two. If you're walking on your hands
It
like him, this is the
is
worst thing that could happen.
Possibly the most brutal death in the series.
It is,
It
yeah.
is.
brutal.
Yeah. I mean, he cuts him from taint to top.
Ooh. All right. But she doesn't know because she's in the shower and she's decided she's changed her mind and she doesn't want a beer after
Right.
all.
She's like, hey, I'm pregnant. I shouldn't give my baby fetal alcohol syndrome.
Right. Yeah. And so she picks up a Fangoria magazine, and I've got a fun fact about this, so stay tuned, listeners. So she's in the hammock and she's reading, and blood starts dripping on her magazine, and then a knife comes sticking through her chest from behind.
It is
After
very
she looks
cool.
up and sees
Yeah.
Andy, like,
Yeah. So when she, I don't know. This movie breaks like two rules for me, and one of them is the show don't tell, and it happens twice. A woman who sees blood dripping goes, I wonder where that's coming from.
Right.
You don't have to say that. You
Just
can
look up.
Why
Yeah.
are you saying that? Anyway, when she looks up, she sees
Split in half boyfriend.
split in half
yeah,
boyfriend.
just like if water dripped on you, you'd be like, I mean,
Oh.
immediately.
Right, you would look up.
Immediately.
Right.
And I just looked up. I know this is a podcast.
You did.
But yeah, and she sees her boyfriend split in half, and then she gets stabbed, and that
Yeah.
effect is pretty cool.
It is, yeah. All right, so Stoner Couple is now making 3D popcorn, and it's coming right at me. And so he goes without shoes on down into this damp basement.
That's got water on it.
It's gross,
It's
yeah.
moldy stuff.
Yeah, it's not
Ugh.
just damp. Like it's like foot deep in water.
I
Not
don't
a
like
foot,
it.
but like your toe
Yeah.
deep.
And
if
like-
he had made it through this weekend, he would have gone home with a serious case of athlete's foot.
Oh, yeah, man. He's got ringworm.
sepsis.
All kinds of like ringworm, bacteria,
He's
whatever.
losing at least 3 of those
Whatever he
toes.
caught from that other girl, too.
So he sees a dead squirrel and a pinup calendar, and then
He goes and fixes the fuse box.
He does.
So the lights come on, and then that's when you see Jason behind him. I actually really liked that shot. It was like one of the only shots I was like, ooh, that's creepy. That's really well done. It reminded me in like when you see Michael in, I know it's a different series, but the Halloween series, when you see him like orb up and you can just see his mask. It looks sort of like reminiscent of that, which I liked.
Yeah, I did
It was
too.
creepy.
I agree.
And then he gets thrown into the fuse box and electrocuted by Thumb that hit the fuse box.
Yeah, so he dies by thumb electrocution.
Yeah, Thumbacution.
Yeah.
We'll workshop it. All right. And so, meanwhile, Stoner Girl, I think her name is Chili, she's opening the door of the kitchen and we see Shelly there with his throat cut, but it's the Shelly who's cried wolf, so nobody believes him
we do
anymore.
see. I forgot we saw Shelly in that part, so we do see Shelly again. We do
Right.
see that he died.
And
Yes.
the reason that it bugs me that we don't see when he dies is that we don't see the moment when Jason takes his mask.
Right. I
like
wanted to
it.
see that transference from one douchebag to a murderer.
So Shelly dies a terrible, tragic death because
He was like, I'm going to go back to making popcorn. He bleeds out on the kitchen floor.
Right. But you know what? And that's why you never fake your death.
Yeah, he's the boy who cried wolf, like
He is.
100%. Yeah.
And even if he was really dying, I don't think she would have reacted
Guys, I
differently.
already said I was sorry about the last time.
So now we're back to the boring couple, which is Chris and Rick. And she goes outside and walks straight into a wind machine. And she's looking for Rick, but she doesn't see him.
You say that she walked right into a wind machine, but you don't see the wind. You hear the wind, but the wind is not blowing.
They pointed
There's
in the other direction.
There's like a fan that's like blowing back and
Oh,
forth
an
on
oscillating
set. It's like an
fan?
oscillating fan, and they just don't have it on her for most of the scene, so her hair's not moving at all. But you do hear like.
Look, 3D wind is hard, okay? And so we see her looking out into the wind trying to find Rick, but we also see around the corner Jason has got Rick.
This was cool.
It was cool, and that's why she can't hear him, also because of the loud sound of the wind.
Right.
And so she goes back inside, and then Jason squeezes poor sweet Rick until his sweater and eyes just explode everywhere.
Oh my God, it looks so dumb. dude.
It kinda
did
did.
not look great, but the eye goes right at the camera, and it sort of made me laugh.
Okay, so Stoner Woman is running around looking for her Stoner Man, and she is terrible at both screaming and running for someone with a role in a horror
I know, and
movie.
she even made a comment before this about how she doesn't ever scream during sex.
Right.
Yeah.
Because he hasn't given her something to make it worth screaming.
Yeah, 'cause
and I
he's
think
always
it's because she
high.
doesn't know how to scream.
Or act. I mean, she's not great.
No, yeah, she goes upstairs, then goes back downstairs for some reason. Then she's scared by a door opening, and then she turns around and there's a fire poker behind her, and she does scream from getting poked by someone. Finally.
I was glad she died, but getting to that point was not great.
I mean, she
Yeah.
really, I mean, I don't know. I didn't have an opinion of that couple either way.
This part was so boring, I barely remembered it until just now.
I'll say this. There are a few things going on in this movie that I don't think are on the screen. I think Shelley's in on it. He doesn't actually die. And these other two people are figments of their imagination. So, like, the potheads don't actually exist.
They're a hallucination from all the pot.
Yes.
That's what happens when you chew it.
They're still in the van thinking
Right.
the cops are going to get them.
Yes.
This is all a fever dream.
Yes.
All right, so now Chris is wandering around and she sees bloody clothes in the full bathtub because I guess Jason turned the water back on after pregnant lady.
That's what he would do.
Yeah.
It's
He
just
took
like-
the tea kettle off, you
Yeah,
know.
it's, honestly, he's just soaking the bloody clothes because
He
he
is.
needs them for later. I guess he's going to stitch together
Sort of
like a
fashion show.
Frankenstein fashion show of all
Yeah.
the murder clothes.
Well, he likes onesies.
So now Chris sees the bloody clothes in the full tub. Then she goes back into the magnet barn and Snow Cone's dead body falls on top of her.
Oh my God.
And this
Again?
is,
Yeah.
he just keeps getting propped
Yeah.
up and falling on people.
It makes no sense. Like, we did this once already. Nah, it's fine. We'll do it again.
And this is when the
Can't find
producer.
another body to use right now.
So she goes back in the house.
Yeah.
Okay.
The wind machine is going crazy.
Right.
There are a bunch of windows getting blown
That's
all
right.
around.
Because when she closes the door, Jason opens a window.
He does, yeah.
It's
And the
insane.
wind machine just takes that invitation and runs with it.
Yes. And
Yeah.
so she locks everything. The door's locked. The windows are locked.
But she forgot that there are 9,000 windows.
Yeah. Well, so I laughed out loud because Jason was like, oh, you're going to lock all the windows? Then I'm going to throw your boyfriend through one.
Yeah.
I know, and I thought you were like freaking out. I
No,
thought you
it was
actually got scared.
hilarious.
Because he power move throws Rick through the windows
Yeah,
that she just locked.
I actually think Jason has a crush on her. That's why he
yeah.
didn't kill her before. And this is actually Jason's like throw a pebble at the window kind of thing.
Oh, it's too much.
Doesn't work.
Overkill, Mikey.
Right.
It's overkill.
Well, if there's something about Jason, it's overkill.
That's fair. That's fair.
All right, so now Rick is getting power moved through the window, and she's running upstairs, and she throws a 3D bookshelf on top of him. And
And he's like, no, I hate reading.
Oh, audible for me only.
Which which is pretty much like me.
So she goes and hides in the closet. And while
Yes.
she's in this closet, she sees Debbie, who's dead.
Yes.
And got a knife still in the back, which will become important in a minute. Deadby.
Yeah.
Yes. And Jason tries to axe into the closet, and he's like shining style.
He shinings it, yeah.
Yeah. And so she rips the knife out of the back of her dead friend.
Right, and while Jason is trying to open the door, just like in The Shining, where the wife slices his hand, she stabs his hand.
She does. Yeah.
Also, important difference between this and The Shining is you could tell that this door is made out of cardboard when he's axing it over.
True. This is one of the things that I think makes me like Chris, because I imagine like seeing your dead best friend and ripping a knife out of her and stabbing someone who's trying to attack her. That's a pretty badass thing to do, you know?
Not only does she do that, she opens the door and starts to stab at Jason as he's like backing up like, oh
No,
my
I like
God,
Chris.
what's going
she's
on?
very proactive.
Yeah. Anyway, so she is chasing him down the hallway. Not chasing him, but like backing up down the hallway and stabs him right above the knee. Like that shit would hurt so bad.
Yeah. Right.
And he makes his roar.
And then she throws something through a window and she's about to jump through the window, but Jason reaches out and grabs her by the shoulder and is trying to pull her jacket.
And then her jacket starts to tear. And she's like, this is a members only jacket. You can't have it.
She says, sorry, Jason, it's members only. That joke was made by Mikey and I stole it.
So she falls to the ground and he like looks out the window and starts to go down the steps.
Yeah.
And she runs to the door to verify that he is chasing after her, which is the dumbest move you could do. And then she runs to the van, finds the keys, shakes them over a baby 1,000 times.
Yeah.
Or at least the Foley artist does.
Sounds like keys are raining from the sky onto the van.
It's Magnolia.
Anyway, and then she grabs the right one, turns the key, and then she starts to drive off in the van.
Right.
And she sees Jason standing in front of her, and unlike Shelley Franklin, she like slams on the gas and is like, okay, cool, I'll run you over. And then he dives out of the way.
And she drives across a wooden bridge, which is now where the van runs out of gas because Biker Threesome has siphoned it out earlier.
Oh, yeah.
They're good at sucking. Right. So Jason is coming. The tires are starting to go through the bridge. And then Jason, this part is hilarious. So Jason reaches in and grabs her by the head through the window, but not so fast. It's a crank window.
Yeah, so she cranks up the window and traps his hands.
Both of his hands get stuck. Oh my gosh,
So
it's
dumb.
amazing.
So much so that he's like shaking the whole van.
She sneaks out the other
And she
door.
gets
And then
away.
he smashes the window with
Exactly.
his face to break it.
But it did buy her a little time,
did.
ridiculously. So now we're back in the barn, of course, and he's running around the barn looking for her, but she's hiding on top of a beam.
Yes.
And then, so this happens for quite a while. And then we get a 3D shot where something is coming right at the camera. And this time it is her crotch because she jumps down from this beam and like straddles the camera. And it's insane. She's wearing pants though, so you don't see anything, but it's just real weird.
It's like Miley Cyrus on a wrecking ball.
but she booty bounces Jason.
She does,
It's
yeah.
very strange. And it works.
It does. So he tries to machete her, and the machete gets stuck in the door, so that distracts him for a few minutes. And
then she climbs back up.
Right, and she says, hey. She climbs up to the hay loft.
Oh my God.
She likes saying hey a lot. All right, so now she's in the loft, and she's got a shovel, and she's hiding.
hides,
She hides and waits. And then he comes up. So she hits him in the back of the head with a shovel and knocks him out.
Yes.
Allowing her time to take this hook, pulley, simple machine,
Just
wrap.
Well, no, it's tied to a pulley. Like,
Oh, yeah.
it
It's a
is
pulley,
a
yeah.
rope. But yeah, she ties the rope around his neck, not the pulley. But
Oh, yeah. It's a simple machine, though. So she ties the rope around his neck and while he's unconscious and then pushes him off the edge. And I guess it like breaks his neck because he doesn't hit the ground. He's just suspended by his neck.
It does like jerk. Like it would have broken his neck if he wasn't,
Jason?
whatever he is.
He's got like elephantitis in his neck, so it's like a lot of cushion.
So now she walks down to the barn and she's trying to get out. And it takes her a really long time to figure out how to get out of this door.
Well, the thing is jammed. The
Yeah.
door lock is jammed. So she takes like a metal circle and hits it against it to unjam it. And then she opens it and Jason's right there.
Just hanging out.
Yeah, just hanging out. Literally.
Yeah, he says, hey. And then he opens her eyes and he
opens his eyes, yeah.
and then takes his mask off, revealing he was the one who attacked her in the
Because he's trying to get the
forest.
rope off, right?
Yeah. He takes the mask off to get himself off, and then
I
He
did
can only-
not watch the same
Yeah.
movie you
He can
three
only
watched.
finish if you look at him in the
Right.
eyes.
Turns out that Jason is David Carradine.
Oh, too soon. So he's about to kill her, but suddenly the last gang member is still alive.
Yeah.
The one who stopped the bug with the power of his chain.
Marley Sr.
And so then Jason kills Marley Sr. Well, he cuts his hand off, and then he attacks him a bunch of times.
He's
again.
probably dead because
I think
he
he's
was
dead.
being hit with a knife.
He was, yeah.
Which is also called stabbing.
Now, to be fair, we also thought he had been hit with a knife before.
That
and
was
he
just a
didn't
hand.
die. Ooh. Yeah.
Which I honestly think would be worse. Whatever.
While he's distracted by killing this biker guy, this is when she axes him in the head.
Yes.
So this is how she's able to save the day.
He dies.
Yeah, he dies.
He's got the machete in his forehead, still stuck in there. This
I think
creates
it's an axe.
It's an axe.
I thought it was an axe.
So he's got an axe in his head.
because she had an axe to grind.
And she did. And now she's safe. So she goes and gets in her canoe and apparently falls asleep in this canoe.
Why does this next 5 minutes happen?
I know, man.
It's insane.
Why is the movie
It's
not
like
over?
some weird variation on the first.
Yeah, it's like
It
a
is.
throwback to the first one, but
I
instead
just
of
don't-
Jason jumping out of the water, it's his mom.
My guess is they just didn't know how to end it.
So-
Swamp
like this-
Thing Mrs. Voorhees jump scares her.
Man, you could have done without all of this.
Yeah, and it's just a nod to the first movie. It's exactly like that, only way more low rent and not.
But it
And
doesn't
not
really make
scary.
any sense because
Right.
she wouldn't know who Mrs. Voorhees is.
Exactly.
So if why would she dream this?
She
Also,
wouldn't.
Mrs. Voorhees lost her head and didn't die in
Yeah.
the lake. And now we've got some cops there, and they're pulling her into the police car, and she's screaming and laughing like Sally in Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
And one of these cops is played by Terry Ballard. And do yourself a favor.
And look at his
Check out his
IMDb
IMDb. profile
He's
page.
like the first credit.
It's hilarious.
Look at his picture.
It's
Right.
amazing.
And then we pan over to Jason's dead body, and that's the movie.
And that's the movie.
Yeah.
So having watched this movie and then talked about it, what do you guys think about it?
I really enjoyed it. It's bonkers and insane,
Yeah.
but it was fun to watch.
It's fun to watch with a group. I think if I had to
Yes.
watch it by myself, I'd be like, what
What
is
the fuck is
And
happening?
it's very short.
Yeah.
It's like 80 minutes or whatever. I mean, it's watchable. Let's put
Right.
it that way. I still don't think it's as good as the first two.
No, it's not.
No.
Nowhere near.
I don't think it's as good as the first one. I did enjoy watching it more than the second one, though.
I kind of like the second one better.
Okay.
I think the second one's a better movie.
I think so, too.
I'm with Todd. If it wasn't for y'all, I don't think I would like watching this movie.
Yeah. All right, let's do box office.
All right.
How much do you think the budget for this movie was?
Probably pretty high for a 3D, right?
Yeah, like 8 million, something like that.
5 million.
Well,
10 million.
it took place in 82. It was probably filmed in 81. The budget was 2.2 million.
Ooh.
Oh, okay.
Which,
So
I
I
mean, if you
win.
adjust for inflation, is probably closer to what you guys guessed.
Yeah.
What do you guys think it made?
I think it made like 30 something. It was like 33 maybe.
It was 34 million. It
Nice.
made $34.5 million.
It made like 10 million more than the last one. I
yeah,
think.
it did well. Like
Yeah.
a lot of people went to go see this.
Yeah.
Enough people went to go see this opening weekend that it was the #1 movie, unseating E.T.
Yep.
Nice.
Todd just stole one of my fun facts in a box office power move.
Well, I mean,
But
it
E.T.
is-
had been out for a minute at that
It
point.
had, yeah. But-
E.T. was in its 10th week, and it had been upset before by another great musical, this time with Dolly Parton, The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas.
that's right.
Oh, I was just gonna
number
sing that
one
at 5.
the
I
week
haven't seen
it
that.
came out.
But then E.T. jumped back to #1 for a few weeks.
for 3 weeks. Yeah, because in its 10th week is when it was unseated by Friday the 13th Part 3.
So this actually came out like late summer. It didn't come out like
Yeah,
the-
sweater weather.
It made $9.4 million in its opening weekend, which is a shitload of money.
Yeah.
It like more than tripled its budget in its first week out.
And I think part of that was the 3D gimmick.
Yeah, I mean, it worked though.
Yeah.
So that's box office. Jen, do you have some fun facts
I
for us?
do have some fun facts.
Hit us with the fun facts.
It is with your fun facts. All right. So, of course, like all sequels, this was intended to end the franchise as a trilogy, but of course it never does. So, this was the debut of The Mask. This is the first time we
Yeah.
see Jason with his hockey mask, which I love, and that's part of the reason I like Jason so much. So, the 3D effects supervisor really liked hockey, and while they were doing makeup tests, they knew they didn't want to use that sack anymore, but they didn't bother to think about what they would do. And so
That's something you should bother to figure out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But so they were doing a makeup test, and the 3D effects supervisor just happened to have a bunch of hockey gear in his bag because he likes hockey a lot. So he just grabbed his mask and put it on, and the director really liked it. So they made a good version of, like a workable version of the mask.
Nice. Cool.
Yeah, so that's where the mask comes from.
Yeah, I like the mask a lot better than the sack.
So I said that there was going to be a fun fact about that Fangoria magazine that she was reading, because there is an article in there about Tom Savini, who did the effects on the first Friday the 13th episode. The second page that she turns to is an article about Godzilla, and that was going to be the next next 3D movie that Steve Miner was going to direct.
Oh, nice.
But the 3D kind of, it didn't happen.
Yeah.
But so Tom Savini did the special effects, and one of his famous special effects from the first movie is the Kevin Bacon kill, where an arrow comes from behind under the bed and stabs him through the throat. And that's the way that Debbie gets killed while she's reading this Fangoria magazine.
Yeah.
So that was a huge shout out to Tom Savini. So there was an alternate story for this when they planned to make the sequel, and it was going to be kind of a Friday the 13th meets the Cuckoo's Nest, because it was going to be Jenny from the second movie, our final girl from the second movie.
Amy Smart.
Amy Smart's sister. So she was going to be in a psychiatric hospital, obviously dealing with the trauma of what happened in that movie. And Jason was going to track her down and kill everyone there. But they were afraid that the fans wouldn't like it if it wasn't like the formulaic camp story.
Right.
And Jenny felt like she was about to hit it big. So Amy Steele, the actress who played that, turned the part
She
down.
did like an episode of Different Strokes or something. I was like, I'm there. She popped up on a lot of television shows.
And she did April Fool's Day after this too. But so she turned this part down, so they had to rewrite the whole thing. So there was an alternate ending also. In the canoe, she was going to hear Rick calling her from the house, and then she was going to run over to see him and like reunite, but it was actually going to be Jason, and he was going to decapitate her at the end.
So the final girl didn't get away.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think they actually filmed that, but they ended up taking the one with the final girl. And fun fact, this is the last movie in the franchise where the lone survivor is a final girl, where there's nobody else that survives except for a final girl. Yeah.
There's even some final boys.
All right. So the actor who played Jason in this movie, his name was Richard Booker. And he was a British trapeze artist.
Really?
Yeah. He did all of his own stunts, but he was really pretty slim, so he wore a lot of pads under his costume.
They bulked him up.
To bulk him
I was
up
going to say, he's like really bulky for a trapeze artist. So, yeah.
So they offered the part to Steve Dash, who played him who was one of the people who played him in the second movie, but they wouldn't pay for his flight from New York to L.A. or to where they were filming. Exactly. And so he turned the part down.
Yeah, I would too. No.
Like, fuck you.
That's crazy.
I know, man. One of the screenwriters said that the casting for this movie was based on looks and not talent.
Wow. That does not surprise me.
It doesn't really surprise me either.
How did Shelley get cast?
Because he's supposed to look stupid.
No one says Jason's name in the entirety of this movie.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
They don't even know who he is.
Yeah,
I know. Yeah.
This is the first one where they don't tell the story and all that
right,
crap.
because the lore hasn't been established yet, or at least to the characters. This was novelized twice.
What?
Yeah.
Like
two different novelizations
like
of this.
novelizations, right?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
And if you look at it with special glasses, the words come like right at you.
Oh, my God.
This was a man-made lake, which, I mean, you can tell when you're looking at it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't properly sealed when they made it the first time, so all the water drained out into the soil. They had to fill it with water again.
Oh, that's funny.
All right, so the working title of this was Crystal Japan.
What?
Do you know that song?
No.
It's a David Bowie
Yeah,
song.
because they were trying to hide the fact they were filming them, so they started naming them all after David Bowie songs.
Okay, cool.
This was the first one. They didn't name them all after
No,
David
yeah,
Bowie
that's
songs,
true, because
but,
one
yeah.
was like Birthday Bash or something.
Right.
Yeah.
So in 2005, a fan went out to this cabin and tried to light a fire in the fireplace, but it's not a real fireplace, and it burned the cabin down. So way to go, fan.
Oh, man, that's
So the cabin's
awesome.
gone.
It's
amazing.
gone.
That's amazing, yeah.
So I called this guy Larry the whole movie because the actor who plays Shelley, his name is Larry Zerner. And he was discovered on a street corner.
That makes sense.
And he was handing out flyers for the movie The Road Warrior. But so he went on, he didn't do much acting after this.
I can't imagine why.
But he went on to be a really successful lawyer. And he was
Really?
also on the game show 1 versus 100. Did you guys know?
Yeah, I remember that.
Was
Bob
it really?
Saget.
And he beat Ken Jennings.
Oh, that's
from
right.
Really? The Jeopardy guy?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
So he turned out okay.
Yeah,
you
he's
know?
doing fine.
Yeah, he's doing okay. All right, and those are my fun facts.
Thank you for your fun facts, Jen.
Well, you're very
Let's do the scary scale.
The scary scale. All right. Hey, listeners, our scary scale is a scale we use to rank how scary we think the movie is. It's not the quality of the film, it's how scared we were when we watched it today. Our 1 example is Ghostbusters, and our 10 example is Texas Chainsaw Massacre. All right. Jonathan, would you like to go first today?
I mean, I guess this is scarier than Ghostbusters, so I guess it's a 2, but it's not scary.
You could just say 1.
It's 1. It's gross, I mean, at times, but it's not scary.
Yeah.
It's gory at times. I'll give it a 1.
All right. So, Todd?
I'd give it probably a 2, but it's
All right.
not that scary. I do think horror virgins could watch this and be fine. There aren't really many jump scary moments.
Mikey?
I would give it a 1.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 1, too.
It's pretty silly.
It is. And I enjoyed it. It's fun to watch, but there wasn't really anything that scared me.
Ghostbusters is a great movie.
Yeah, but I would watch Ghostbusters by myself. I would never watch this by myself, nor would I think I would have enjoyed it at all had I watched it by myself. I enjoyed it because we were joking around about it the whole time.
Yeah, and I will say I've often considered this one of the worst of the franchise, but watching it today, I'm like, it's not that. Like, there's much worse ones.
Yay!
Congrats.
I can't wait till the next time we have you on Friday the 13th part 4.
Now, the next one is a lot of people's favorite.
So, Jen, this week you guys made me watch Friday the 13th part 3. What are you guys making me watch next week?
Well, guys, this is our holiday listener request. We asked for holiday horror.
Right.
And the listeners, you chose
Krampus.
Yes, we did
the
Krampus.
listeners chose Krampus, so we're going to watch Krampus.
Yeah, so we also mentioned this on the Monday episode.
We did, because
this is a very special Friday the 13th episode.
That's
so
right.
it's the same one we mentioned last time. It's Krampus.
It is. Yeah, so if you still haven't watched Krampus, what's wrong with you?
You only have
Get
3
on
days left to get it done, including today, assuming you're listening to this on the day it came out. So now it's come time for us to read another sexy 5-star review.
Ooh.
Mikey, you ready to practice your reading skills? So this one is from someone whose name is Hardcore.
Ooh.
And their title is My New Favorite Podcast. And there is no accent, but it does say, cue the Doogie Howser music. So, Mikey, I do want you to read it like you're typing this at an old 1980s computer.
Okay. Todd, can you bring in that Doogie Howser theme music, please?
Yes.
Dear Diary, I first caught the Horror Virgin crew on the Cinema Sins podcast, episode 199.
That was the one we were on.
Hearing what the Horror Virgin podcast was about, I had to go check it out.
Oh, thanks.
After listening to the first few episodes, I was hooked.
Aww.
I pretty much binged all the episodes in these last few weeks.
That's amazing.
While at work and on my commute.
That's a lot of us talking.
I love the chemistry between Jen, Todd, and Mike.
Oh, thanks.
Whether it's them ripping on each other, freestyling movies into song lyrics, or just out perving one another.
Nice. That's got to be me and you, Mike.
That's Jen, totally.
Yeah.
And it's always a great time. I give the Horror Virgin...
I'm sorry, what? I give the horror part.
I don't usually read my diary journals out loud.
Is this your new name, Horror Virgin?
I give the Horror Virgin podcast 5 stars.
Oh, thanks.
And that's the review.
And that's the review. That's awesome. Because that's like the, and that's the movie.
Yeah, we got it.
Oh, my bad.
Thank you so much for that awesome review.
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
Again, thank you, Cinema Sins, for having us on and helping us find some people. And Jonathan.
I mean, sure, you're welcome.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I wasn't on that, but you're welcome.
I wish you were.
If you guys want us to read your 5-star review on the podcast, leave a 5-star review.
5-star review.
It really does help people find the show, and we really, really appreciate it.
We really do. Hey,
Leave an accent. I haven't done an accent in a while.
You haven't. You've been taking a break. We are a member of the Modern Horrors Podcast Network, so if you're listening to us in their feed, awesome. But if you want to get it 2 days earlier, listen to it in our feed.
Yeah.
We launch on Mondays and drop in their feed on Wednesdays. But if you're listening to their feed, you're also getting the Modern Horrors Podcast, clearly, the Death, Dying, and Other Things narrative fiction podcast, and the lovely Final Girl.
Right.
If you want to follow us on social, we are at Horror Virgin. Jen is at Jen Ferratu. Mikey is at M Randolph 24. And I'm at Todd J. Awesome.
Yeah.
Actually, Jonathan, where are you online?
So if you want to contact me directly, I'm at Sam Loomis 13 on Twitter.
Yeah.
And I also run the TV Sins Twitter. And obviously, every week you can catch new videos on Cinema Sins, TV Sins, Music Video Sins.
And when does your podcast drop? Behind the Sins.
Oh, and then I do a podcast called Behind the Sins with Aaron Dicer and Danae Hughes. We call ourselves the B Team.
Yeah.
And we usually, it's Thursday is when it drops for the public. If you're a patron, though, you get it a day early, just saying. And if you do want to become a patron, it is a really cool time because we did we did the Endgame video for Avengers Endgame.
Yeah.
And we had so much stuff left on the cutting room floor that we did a second video.
Holy shit.
Yeah, and that is exclusive to patrons.
That's
so,
awesome.
Just for a couple bucks, you can come check that out. And,
Too hot for Cinema
A lot of
Sins?
other extra stuff. So
Awesome.
Nice.
And we are on Patreon as well.
We are.
Patreon.com/horrorvirgin. A lot of great stuff, a lot of great levels. We're currently saving up to buy better gear to give you guys some better sound. So
working on some new things to add to that too.
We are. We've been having a lot of pod lunches to work out
Right.
some new content, so we're working that out. So look for that in January with some changes that we're making.
Yeah.
You can also find us at horrorvirgin.com where you can see Jen's blog and links to the merch store and awesome stuff like that. And if you want some daily free content in the Facebook group.
Yeah. And we interact a lot with the people
I
in the
interact
Facebook
every
group
day on
too.
Facebook. Yeah, I love that group.
Yeah, I hate on that group all the time.
Oh, jeez.
You hit on that group all the time.
What?
How you doing, ladies?
Yeah, we have
In
barred
the
dick
Facebook
pics
group.
from it, though. So
Well,
Just as mine.
yeah.
that's it from us, guys. This was a very special Friday the 13th
Yeah.
episode. I hope you're all being safe out there, not walking under ladders, not kicking black cats. Happy Friday the 13th.
Don't break a mirror either. Fuck
Thank you
Jonathan.
so much, Jonathan, for
Yeah, thank you
joining
so much
us.
for being
Yeah.
here.
No,
it's becoming a little bit of a tradition to have you join us for slasher movies and for our Friday the 13th.
Yeah, no, I enjoy it every time. I'm just glad you guys have me.
Oh,
Absolutely.
yeah. So
Yeah,
much
We've
fun.
pretty much gotten rid of our other guests.
You are the only guest we've had.
Is that what that smell
sort
from
of-
the attic is? I gotta go.
One of us.
So that's going to be it from us, everybody. I'm Jen.
I'm Mikey.
And I'm your horror virgin Todd, guys.
Have an amazing week.
13th.
Have an amazing Friday,
The 13th.
the 13th.
It's evil. But
Have a
not-
Bye.
good
Bye.
Jason nerds.
Ch, ch, ch.